Hey, all right, we're back. I want to make sure I talk loud enough for this and get close enough, not to be creepy or anything, but so you can definitely hear me here. This video is for World Lit 2, and it's going to focus on the Declaration of Independence. I'm going to give a little bit of history here, but I'm not going to go super deep. But going off of what we see with that video that I have, the very old videos that I have for the Enlightenment and for Kant's What is Enlightenment, I want to use this now to move into over across the water to America. Um, the Declaration of Independence and the American Revolution is steeped in um, Enlightenment philosophy to an extent, very big extent actually, but still, when we have what we have going on in this situation here, and before I don't want to go too deep into history, but the Declaration of Independence and the American Revolution is something that marks a major change in the world. That's something the world's never seen before, especially at least for 1,000 years. Um, Going to this point, moving away from a feudal system type of situation um, and a monarch to democracy, republics and everything like that of that sense. Because what we had up until this point is we had countries focusing with a monarch, with a king or a queen, dispersing rules, dispersing laws, dispersing everything downward. And as it goes down, trucks going by, sorry, but as it goes down, everyone else disperses it to people below them in the chain of being. So you could be something very low, and you have to get the rules, and you can't go up, you can't go down in your chain of being. It's just where you are. Um, and a big part of that, especially the further we go in Europe and over into America, you have a lot of people in power misusing, especially Christianity and Christian doctrine, to say that they are the ones rightly placed in certain positions thanks to God, and if you disobey me, say for instance, you're disobeying God. Especially in some particular denominations, that gave those particular people power to keep you out of heaven and go to hell or to other places. So that's where it became. It became a situation where you had people giving you rules, and if you bucked up against the system, you're bucking up against God, particularly a king, because a lot of them believe that kings were appointed by God and they're God's representative on earth. So if you were bucking up against that monarch, you're bucking up against God, and if you do that, you're in a bad spot. So think about what we have going on with Kant, what Kant's saying. You have to be able to think for yourself. That's now affecting the Americas. But it's not just that philosophy. There's a lot going on that is very, very bad. A lot of the things the king was doing over in America was horrible, horrible stuff, and a lot of it's spooky because a lot of people argue that you see a lot of it today, or you have for a while now. But you have to look at the Declaration of Independence as it's not the Constitution. It is a divorce letter. It is the letter that was sent to England to say, thanks, but we're now separate. We're on our own. We're not a part of the British Empire or the UK. We are on our own. You can't tell us what to do anymore. We're going to tell ourselves. And of course, war comes and everything beyond that. But the thing that's really interesting to this is that the argument that is made within this letter is that it's the Enlightenment idea that rights and thinking and everything like that come from people, come from or they it comes from God, but it's put in the hands of all the people, not stuck with one particular person like a king. That's the main thing here. And so when we go into certain particular items like pursuit of happiness, nature's God entitled them, everything like that, those particular test items are focusing on that. It's saying that the freedom is not dispersed from one particular person. It is given to us from God, from some other higher supreme power that is stronger and bigger and beyond human beings. So wherever that's coming from, there's no particular human being that can take that away from us. We all have that innate um, freedom, that innate ability to think and to be on our own and do for ourselves. That's very enlightenment. And so when you're going into this, look for those test items, read those, and think about how this particular document here pushes that idea of the Enlightenment, how you, the individual, and I don't want to say individual too much because the Enlightenment is still not individualistic and like the Romantics are or were or will be in this if we're talking in terms of this. But they're still getting away from a particular central government, a monarch like that, and putting it in the people's hands. And so it's still a community type of thing, and people as a group, as a whole, but it's still giving it to the people in that sense there. And so what you get at the very beginning, the way it's set up is the very beginning is the beginnings of that letter, and in the middle it gives a list of grievances, and this is all the terrible stuff the king was doing. And no fair trial, quartering troops, meaning that they were just having people come in and stay in your house, eat your food, tear your place apart, and then leave, and you had to take it. Um, there's a lot of bad stuff that I'm not going to be able to get into directly, but he was hiring. He knew that the British soldiers still saw the Americans as brethren, as family. So he would hire the Hessians, which were like German mercenaries, to come over and do horrible, horrible things to us, just to scare us. He paid Native Americans beyond the borders out in the pioneer area to do horrible things, murder, kill, and torture our frontiersmen and people just to scare us, to keep us in his area. So he was doing horrible things to his own people. And these were all types of lists of grievances that they were putting inside the Declaration. So these are the reasons why we're getting out. But it came down to the main point in the Enlightenment. We are the only ones who have that can say anything about our freedom. God has given it to us. We can do it ourselves, and that's the main thing there. And then at the very end, you'll notice they come in and they say that they pledge their sacred honor, their lives, their fortunes, everything. And you'll see that in the handouts. All the people who signed it, what they had, everything they had to give up, everything they were willing to lose, and some of them lost everything they had. Some of them even were killed in order to do this. Why would they do that? Because freedom, and I think this is something we don't really comprehend growing up and living, most of us growing up and living in a place, in such a privileged place that we have now, is that we don't understand how good freedom is. But once you have that freedom taken away, like they did or didn't have it or other people do, then you realize how wonderful freedom is and how much you're willing to lose for it. And they did, and they were willing to put everything they had up front so they could lose it, and then lose it if they had to get their freedom, and really push that. So, and from this is where everything changed. Everything in the world changed from this to the French Declaration to beyond. Everything in the world changed from this one document. So think about that as you read. Really look at it. Don't just look at it as a historical document there. Look at it in context of a literature document or literary document, looking for how the Enlightenment comes through. Because remember, when you go into your test items here, you want to look at it and say, okay, what do we have? All right, here's this test item. It's connected to the Declaration of Independence. Now I need to write in this test, I need to tell how this particular item inside the Declaration of Independence is significant in context of the Enlightenment, meaning what does this teach us about the Enlightenment? What is the most important part of this? How does it connect to the Enlightenment? Okay? And that's something that will take practice, but the more we discuss it, the more we read it, and we try to plan this out, the better we'll get, okay? And also remember that planning, writing this stuff down, making notes, do all that. Even though it's an online class, write and make notes, plan it out. That's what's going to help you the most with these tests and comprehension of these works, okay? So if you have any questions, of course, let me know.